Hello guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I am Viktor Thorup, your favorite inline and ice speed skater. I'm a two-time Olympian in ice speed skating, but I do skate and I've always inline skated a bunch. I'm part of Rollerblade World Team, and one thing I really enjoy on top of training for my third Olympics in Milano in about a year and a half is sharing all the knowledge that I managed to gather. I spent my entire career, basically my entire life, figuring out to skate fast. And I think it's so much fun sharing that with all of you guys, and YouTube is honestly the best tool there is to do so. And in this one video, I am gonna show you how to skate and how not to skate. If you can't tell the difference, I'm either really bad or you're bad. One of us gotta change something. But in this video, I'll really just go through bad skating, good skating, bring up the most common mistakes. Some of them I am guilty of doing myself, and it's because they're really difficult habits to get rid of. However, I do think I have some good ideas on how you can change those habits in order to just get better at skating, technically more efficient. So I'm gonna make a cool split screen here using this not green screen, couldn't afford that, but it's a white screen, basically the same. I'm gonna show good skating, bad skating, and then I'm just gonna guide you how you can go from the mistakes, the bad skating, to the good skating. Some of it's just gonna be thought processes, things you can have in your mind as you skate that can honestly go a long way. And then I'm gonna add some drills, some ideas, different technical exercises you can do at home just to improve on these things much faster than you would if you don't necessarily do any specific exercises for it. I think we should just get down to business. If there's any technical issues that you guys can think of that I'm not mentioning in this video or not addressing, please do let me know in the comment section below. There's a good chance you are not the only one, and then I am certain that the whole skating community would love to hear about it, and also love to hear maybe my or some of you guys input on how to fix these mistakes. Now, the first one I am gonna go into is bouncing. It is so easy to bounce up and down vertically as we skate simply because it feels more comfortable. You kind of get this impression that you manage to relax in between each push, and it just feels nice, especially if you are a person that has that tendency to try and counterwork that and keep in that steady, stable position. Can be pretty tough, but it is a bit like sitting in the lower position. It feels harder. At first, it might be harder, but you are going to be so much more efficient. Obviously, if you push your body off the ground, well, you're not gonna push into the ground. You're not gonna create that pressure and speed that will actually help you go faster and further as you skate. So this is mostly just about making it a good habit. Often, a thing that you can do here to avoid that bouncing is to hold your arms out in front of you. It's a thing I always teach people if you're tilting or twisting. Gonna dive into that later, but do the same with your arms here. You can usually easily see if they go up and down is because you're not doing it well. So use those as a guideline. A really good other thing that you can do is slide board training. I'm a big fan of slide board. I'm using the board called Burn, B-R-R-R, 3 R's, N. Fantastic slide board. They're super light. They are incredibly cheap for how good they are. They just glide well. If you put one of those, especially if you have a mirror, in front of a mirror, and then you can just dial things in. You can basically look at yourself and copy that and try and get into a correct skating position and keep that as you glide from side to side. That is probably the best way to implement these habit and movements, so that once you put on your skates, they're just dialed in. You don't have to change anything, just do what you did on the slide board at home. Another good way of doing this is by doing the weight transfer either on shoes. Simple dryline exercise where you really go from skating position, one leg extended to the side, and then you switch the center of gravity from right to left, and just focus on your shoulders being parallel to the ground and not going up and down as you shift from one leg to the other. Final thing is just to focus on this as you skate. It feels easier going up and down, but it's so crucial that the second you land a skate under yourself, that's where you generate the most pressure, the most speed. When you have your skates under yourself, under your center of gravity, within the shoulder width, that's where it's easy and honestly possible to generate the most speed. And if you allow yourself to bounce off the ground as you switch from one leg to the other, well, there's no chance you're generating that early pressure and being efficient through the entire push. So make that a habit right away. Next thing here is what I call the over pushing. Not necessarily not double pushing, but just overdoing it. Skating can almost be deducted to a very, very simple piece of mathematical equation. It is how much power you can apply without losing it in different ways. So one thing is here, if you bounce up and down, that power is gonna be lost in that movement. Another thing is if you overdo the double push, well, you're not actually pushing as you would want to. It's simply just a lot of sloppy movements that's gonna be, you know, weak links between your upper body being stable and solid, making speed into the ground. So if you struggle with this over pushing, make sure you always focus on things pointing forward. It is very often that people tilt around like this or lose that constant pressure because they're steering instead of actually pushing. So a good way of doing this is making sure your shoulders are flat and that you're constantly pointing straight forward, especially in the hip area. If you open up the hips, it's a good chance you're gonna kick backwards. And if you open up the hips to the side, it's gonna open up and that's gonna twist your body out of position. And that's why if you wanna keep it steady, well, you're gonna spend all your energy kind of being in this plank-like exercising as you're also trying to go fast. It doesn't mean you should be tense as you skate, but just make sure that your hips are pointing forward and still focus on what's actually in the ground and not that leg that you lift up. If you're skating well, if your hips are in the right position, if you're relaxed, well, that should be a beautiful, relaxed recovery circle with that other leg. The timing should be fluid. Now this next one is early pressure versus very late pressure. It is, again, if we talk about it mathematically, it's almost impossible to keep up with somebody that pushes through the entire push, no matter how strong you are, if you only push right at the end. Say they're gonna have a 4 times longer push if they really start generating speed right underneath their center of gravity as the skate goes into the ground. And you, on the other hand, is only doing this little spasm at the end of the push, which on top of not being ideal because you can't push without sliding off your wheels at the end of the push because the angle is just too sharp and it's too far away from you. And you have a big chance of kicking backwards if that's what you're doing. It's just not gonna be ideal. Instead, focus on as soon as you land a skate, start pushing. Start feeling the pressure, feeling your toes go into the sole of your skate, go into the wheels, go into the ground. And that is how you generate good pressure. Now, one thing that can make this easier is again by doing a proper recovery circle. If you really just skate to the side, bring it back in, skate to the side, bring it back in, it's not gonna be this smooth movement where you allow the other leg to really have all the body weight on it. So make sure you dare to put all the weight on the leg that you placed under the ground. Cool way of doing this is really just focusing on skating. So it's a drill, but focusing on putting pressure and only using your under push. So you're only allowed to skate underneath yourself. This really comes to the test if you're skating in the rain where it's too slippery to really apply any pressure anywhere further out than, say, your shoulder width. So that's a good way. I'm not recommending you go skate in the rain if you don't like to, but it is a way that'll force you to actually push underneath yourself. One other drill that's kind of fun to do in order to practice this is skating with your wheels glued to the ground. If you're not allowed to lift the legs off, well, you definitely can't do this jump off at the end of it because you would have to drive it back in. That will really teach you. It's gonna be hard muscularly, but that is because you apply more pressure to constantly push, push, push and drive it in. So you're teaching yourself to not jump off the skate at the end of the push. Now, next one here is the twisting. This again comes down to hip positioning. Keep your hips under yourself, tucked forward, and especially keep them pointing straight forward. If you skate well, your glutes should be as sore as your quads. If you do this, there's no reason you would kick backwards. That's not how our legs are designed. You would kick or push straight to the side, which then you wouldn't really have to compensate with your upper body tilting to the opposite way off the push here. There is also a chance that you would twist out because your knees go in. So say your standing knee, the knee you're on, if that goes a little in, well, to compensate for that being further in, your upper body's gonna go further out. To train this, it's a lot of elastic band exercises, do some single leg up downs, or even just skate, smooth skating with elastic band around your knees. You can also do some of these really cool exercises on shoes. One of them could simply just be lifting your leg up to the side, doing circles or side extensions where you just push to the side in the air, bring it slowly back in. That will simply build so much hip strength, so much gluteus medius strength that you can hold it out there without your leg collapsing. And to be honest, skating a lot is just gonna help you so much here. Surprise, surprise, more skating makes better skating. This next one here, the swimmer as we call it, seen way too many people do this one, where you kind of dive forwards, really trying to avoid that. Some of it may come down to the arm swing. I hate to say that skating should be mechanical, because it shouldn't, but these movements should be, you know, whatever is most natural to us biomechanically, the way our body's put together. So using the arms should never be a kind of dive forward movement. It should instead just go with the natural, you know, angles and joints of our shoulders, especially when we get up to high speeds where we really try and generate more speed using that force of the arms. If that's not pulling in the natural way, well, you're gonna have to like steer your arms, which goes against the whole point of just using them to pull. Especially, like, imagine you would be jumping vertically up in the air. How would you do to jump as high as possible? You wouldn't do any weird funky stuff. You would have them straight go up to try and pull the rest of your body. Here's the same, except we push downwards. So make sure you're not diving forward. Also gives you the tendency of having a long upper body. May even dip your shoulders while your butt comes up, and that is definitely not how we use our center of gravity to create pressure downwards, straight downwards, as we skate faster. Those were what I think are some sadly too common mistakes in skating. It is also what makes skating so damn cool, that it is such a technical sport, and you can get good at it at basically any age, which I find to be wonderful. I also think it's super fun that it's not just about different heart rate zones or wattage, but there's all these technical aspects that play such a massive role. And sometimes it can be super frustrating because it can take years to fix a tiny little detail, but when that happens, boy, it feels good. I hope this could help you to get to that point, and at least I hope this was exciting. I hope maybe it could give you some inspiration or new ways of looking at your technical hurdles. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I would love to hear from you guys if you have any suggestions on videos that I should make, or different, I don't know, questions you guys might have to skating. I am spending 24/7, and I've been doing it for more than 20 years, figuring out how to skate fast. So if I can share any of that with you guys, I would really enjoy that. Let me know. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more fun skating videos. My name is Viktor Thorup, and I had a blast talking about skating. See you next time.